privacy, so it really is good. So when I left, I paid my guys, they didn't make a million dollars. Right? I was like, whoa, right? That's the fact that people are getting so I like what you do. This is the fact that you can do,
Yeah, tell him you're going to send us.
Gregory, how does that sound? I'm going to tell everyone to hang out when we get the startups going. They should be ready in a few minutes.
What time are you thinking?
No.
The reason I'm connected and everything, but I'm not being recognized, so I'm not live yet.
I'll give you 20 minutes. Okay, but give me a mic so I can talk to people.
Hello. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. So we're getting ready right now for the presentation. For the next 15 minutes, please hang out as you guys are doing. Network. We have 10 minutes to start. 10 to 15. Have some wine. Have some water. During the presentations, we are not going to be serving alcohol because we want everyone to be focused on the presentations. But there will be a break, and during that break, people are welcome to network and keep drinking some delicious wine. And then after the event, you guys are welcome to network more. So hang out.
Plug the line in if you want to check the line. It's one of these. Look for the end of your cable over there.
start. Yeah, come in.
This is not the first one, is it? You've done
No,
this
no,
before.
no, yeah. Well, me running it, this is the second event that I run. But the event has been running for 7 months.
And then what kind of questions do they ask? The judges being like,
Usually we'll be listening to a presentation, and we're going to use the judgment, so try not to be full rude, but if you see something that you're going to do that is
wrong, like, come on.
this is interview, and you're very good at this. That's why I asked you to do like entrepreneurship is something you're very familiar with. So I know you're gonna do good. Just listen, ask the right questions in the sense. Don't destroy them, but
Yeah, I just want to get everyone to ask the wrong question. But I understand that.
it is all about helping them a little bit, but at the same time you cannot just make this a soft because this guy, Dr. Wallace, he's strong. He's gonna go hard. I asked him not to, but I know that he will have to.
It's sort of like a Dragon's Den kind of thing.
I call it a hipster version, a hipster Toronto version of the Dragon's Den. So, and I'm live broadcasting right now.
just want to make sure these are ready to go. We can't start until they are. So.
Can you come on the drum too?
Straightforward. We've been changing them and shifting them as we go. So the first thing we're going to do is we have a laptop right here, and it's running the clock. The clock runs for 11 minutes. So there are 4 companies pitching. And the 4 companies have, while we're changing out, we're coming to a level we should give a little extra time. But you're going to get to pitch for 11 minutes. The timer is going to come down at the end of the timer. I'm going to jump up, and that will be kind of the end of it. So we're going to move into the advisors. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to mimic as much as we possibly can on what you're going to go through when you're getting in front of angels and VCs. And really, at the end of the day, if you can tell your story in 11 minutes, you're off to the races and you're doing a great job. So that's what you can expect is 11 minutes. And then the advisory panel is going to give 1 minute each of their thoughts and feedback that are going to help benefit, again, each of the startups. Once those are done, which is about 3 minutes, we're then going to jump into Q&A. And hopefully from all of this, you guys will build up some great questions as you have in the past. And by all means, if we have a mic, grab it and speak into it. If you don't, then we'll kind of just move into yelling it. And one of the speakers at the time, they'll talk to it. So one of the things I'll talk about, the reason we're doing this, some of you are new and some of you have been here before. We're trying to create a platform and a space or a channel for startups to be able to pitch their business and get feedback on what they're doing, where they're going, and how they're doing it from the community, which is from you guys. Because at the end of the day, the products are probably going to be used by you, and they want to get some real feedback, which helps them get in front of the large angel groups and other businesses that they're pitching them to, so that they can generate dollars, and they need to be bang on when they do pitch and be able to answer the hard-hitting questions. So don't hold back and let them know what you think, and we'll go from there. So outside of that, I think that the key that we're going to do now is we're going to bring in the advisors. So first advisor we have is Dr. Wally. So I'm going to let him come up and say like 10 seconds of something great because he's an entrepreneur and he's got a lot of credibility that we're all going to love today. So.
Thanks for welcoming me here. My background's basically I've got a PhD in engineering, computer science. I run in business as well. My area of specialty is new product design and development. I've owned, operated, run, or purchased a number of different companies, patents in all sorts of different areas. I've been involved in tech and manufacturing for 30-odd plus years. So thank you for having me here. Let's see how it goes.
And the last one is going to be Sarah, and Sarah has pitched here before, so we wanted to make sure that we're bringing back other entrepreneurs because we're about entrepreneurs supporting entrepreneurs. And Sarah's awesome and she's got a wicked business, so come on up.
Hey guys, I'm Sarah. My company is Space I Share. We are essentially the Airbnb for self-storage. So we're looking for garages, sheds, driveways, anything that you would like to monetize. We connect people who have space with people who need space. We've just completed last year at Founders Institute, one of the top graduates. We've gone on to Boulder, Colorado for an accelerator program. We will be having demo day next week. I'll be pitching in front of 1,200 people. So I understand the challenges of pitching, and I was here in November, so I look forward to being a judge today. Thanks.
And our third advisor is Mr. Raza, and Raza, he's got a lot of smarts around this guy's smart thing too, so let's welcome him.
Thank you for that. I'm the Chief Compliance Officer of a fintech company, so in my sort of day-to-day role, I advise lots of companies, a lot of projects that we take. I advise to see what the risk is versus the reward. I also advise companies on the side. So I do see a lot of startups, I do see a lot of ideas, see a lot of projects. But my role, I don't think I'm that smart, but my role would be a bit more of a risk side take. What can go wrong? That's the idea. Thank you.
Okay, so the first startup we're going to have come up today is Carlos from Beware.
Hey everyone, how are you? Good. I'm Carlos. And first of all, thank you very much for having me here, and thank you judges or advisors for listening to what I have to say. And thank you everyone. I really appreciate all your feedback. I've been working on this for about 3 years now, so it's really I'm really happy to be able to start sharing it with community. I'm Carlos Zamorano. I'm CEO and founder of Beware, and we are set to build beautiful technology. The first product we have in market is called Loop. And just before I start talking about Loop, I wanna share a bit of a personal experience with you guys. As you can tell by my accent, I wasn't born here. I was born in Colombia. And growing up, I was made aware of my own personal safety at a very early age because of all the things that were happening in the mid-'80s back then. To the point that actually made me and my wife decide to come to Canada. Growing in Colombia, I realized that one of the main things that you have to do when you need to call for help is have access to a phone or being able to call with your phone. The problem with that is that your phone is not always in your hands. And even if it's in your hands, I've done a lot of research that indicates that when you're trying to do going through an emergency, your brain's not thinking clearly. And when your brain's not thinking clearly, actually there are studies that show that about 80% of us go numb during an emergency. And what happens with that is, if you pair that with the fact that you have to open your phone and unlock it and find someone to call and all these kinds of things, and even the worst of all, explaining where you are, then that can become really complicated. Even before that, the reason why I started thinking about that is because of my Colombian background. Of course, I had this in the back of my head, but also when I moved here to Canada, on probably the first year that I was here, I was working like a regular day, and my wife called me out of nowhere and she says, "Carlos, I just had an accident. I'm on the 401 and I got into a car accident." And I'm like, "Okay, this is big. This is a big deal. You know, 401 is not an easy thing to deal with." So the first thing I said, "Are you okay?" She says, "Yeah, I'm fine." Second thing I asked is, "Okay, where you are?" And that's when things become a problem. She had no idea where she was. She knew she was on the 401. She was completely disoriented. She had no idea where she was. All I did was I got in my car and drove to get her. So that's basically the problem that I set to fix. Being able to call for help and being able to go through all the processes of receiving help on a very easy, very streamlined, very reliable way. I also worked for Nokia for many years, and working for Nokia led me to understand one thing about technology and how people wear technology. And it's the fact that most of us are intimidated by how we wear technology. If it's too techy, you might feel that it's something coming out of a 70s movie. Sorry, no, I'll let you know when. Okay. So I'm trying to, I don't know, I sent a PDF instead of a PowerPoint, so I have to wirelessly tell him that he has to go. Sorry about that. No, I lost my train of thought. Okay, when I was in Nokia, one of my challenges was allowing to sell the Bluetooth headsets, and that proved a very complex problem to do because people didn't want to feel like a cyborg from a movie or anything like that. So wearing technology usually makes us uncomfortable in one way or another. So I set out to solve two main problems. One is giving access to technology, to help on a very easy way, but also allowing people to wear technology on a very to feel comfortable when they wear technology. So actually you skip to next. So when I started doing all my research, when I decided I wanted to do this, I came to some really gruesome statistics and findings. And the reality is that here in a first world country like Canada or the US, the statistics on gender abuse and domestic abuse are like ridiculous. There's no other way for that. 1 in 3 women have experienced or will experience some sort of domestic abuse in their lifetime. And the sad part of that is that a metric that I didn't include there is that 1 in 3 sustain severe injuries from those events. Also, the cases of sexual assault are, again, tremendous or ridiculous. About every 98 seconds someone is sexually assaulted in America. Those are numbers that even in these countries occur. Imagine what's happening everywhere else in the world. So once I started to learn more about these kinds of things, I said, okay, there's got to be a way for me to empower people that are vulnerable in these cases to be able to call for help. So like I said before, when we go through an emergency, your brain is not thinking clearly, and we have to find your phone and do all these kinds of things, right? So what are we going to do? What we're going to do is basically solve the problem of having to think about what to do when you're in an emergency and just replace it with a very simple thing, but everyone else, everyone is very used to and accustomed to use, and is basically press a button. So if we go to the next one. So instead of having to go through all that process, we basically decided to bring a device that would allow us to very simply, very easily press a button and send out his first call to 5 of your friends and family. This is a line of jewelry that acts as panic buttons that allow people to call for help when they really need it and when they're under distress. I have a sample here with me, and give me a second, I'll go over some more so that you can have something. So how it works is actually fairly simple. If you don't mind, Courtney, can you come here for a second? My hands are not that pretty, so I need a hand. This is Courtney. Courtney is my marketing manager. For the ring, and I'll bring my phone out and. So the app is ready. The app is on the iOS store and the App Store as well, and then Google Play. If you press the button. And in a few seconds, I'll receive a text message with our location here. Of course, I send it to my phone for demo purposes, but this will go to 5 people. As you can, I don't know if many of you can see it, but I just received a text message. And on the text message, there's a link to a map with my location. And if I start moving, it'll start tracking me. And if, for whatever reason, so as you can see, I'm there, and if for whatever reason I want to call that person, there's a button for people to call that person right away instead of having to find that contact or anything like that. So like you see, we're trying to streamline that process of getting help and calling for help and providing help. To me, what inspired me to do this is actually being able to provide for my family when I'm not with them. And this way is a way for us to basically allow people peace of mind for providing help and also receiving help when you really need it. We ran a closed pilot in South America in September of last year. Users. We basically wanted to clean up our solution as much as we could, try to figure out if we had any bugs. Like you can imagine, of course, we had plenty of them. And one thing that we found out about the pilot is that about 70% of people bought it just because of looks, and those are the ones that I was passing around. But something that is even more important than that is that the vast majority of the people didn't get it because of what I initially thought that was going to happen, which is security. I thought people were concerned about a creepy guy following them or something like that. The reality is that the people that are using it have other kinds of problems. So I have users that have problems with mental health, like panic attacks or anxiety attacks. I have people who have suffered from some sort of medical condition like epilepsy and things like that. So the reality is that the group of people that really need something like our device might not be the person who's looking for a personal assistive device, but just simply needs to get the word out quickly when they need help. So I just came back from San Francisco. I ran a program called HACS, which is the largest hardware accelerator in the world. And with them, basically the first thing that came to conclusion is, okay, we have to get the word out there here in North America. We have a solution that is ready to bring it into the market. So basically our sales pipeline looks something like this. We are launching a Kickstarter next week, actually. And after that, we're already being accepted as part of Amazon Launchpad as well. So we're the first few months of our existence here in North America is going to be on online sales. We already have approached and have direct conversations with Target in the US, with Best Buy, with retailers in Japan, in Europe. So there's definitely a lot of people who's interested in carrying our products. Actually, the senior buyer for wearables at Target, I'm going to try to quote her as close as I can. She basically referred to the personal safety space as the fastest growing space in the wearable industry in the next couple of years. So that's very encouraging for me as well. She also expressed that we are in a very good place because there's a lot of people who are doing, not a lot, but there's a few competitors who are doing something similar. I almost carry one with me, which is basically a straightforward panic button. The problem with a solution like this is that it's in your pocket, so it's almost as good as your phone. Which reminds me, there's a reason behind the ring. We designed the ring because we wanted to create something that was very easy to access. So if you're following your bike or you have a car accident and your hand is pinned, basically you only need to move your finger or your thumb to access that help. So that's the reason behind the ring. We also are very conscious about design. We understand design is very subjective, and what someone likes, someone other might not like. That's why we decided we were going to launch at least two new designs on a yearly basis. That's what, with an early business like this, we've been in business for 6 months, we already have 5 different designs in market. And actually the design that Courtney has in her hands, that's the design we were launching in Kickstarter. I think there's a couple more slides. And yeah, I think that's it. Sorry, no?
No, that was good timing, right on the revenue part. So we're going to start with the advisors. Grassley, you're good.
Oh, thank you. I was really impressed. I thought that, the design, the fact that you can use it to send information, keep it off and so forth. I quite like all of that. But one of the first things that popped in my mind is everyone on their phone has this sort of thing that says, emergency calls only. But I can't remember the last time I used that. And I don't know in the audience if anyone remembers the last time they had to use the emergency call thing on their phones. So that's something maybe, how often would people use this? At an emergency, would I remember this, to use this, let's say 5 years from now when I have an emergency? Would I remember that this is actually, that was the first thing that really came to my mind. And the second thing I think, especially from my background, I'm concerned about privacy, and I think that's where wearables is still, they've done amazingly, everyone's talking about wearable technology, but privacy is a key concern. Would people know where I'm going? People be able to track me, so on and so forth. That's my take on this. But generally, I love the idea. I really do. It's very exciting.
Can I reply to that at the end? At the end, after I hear everything or not? Maybe
You can squeeze it in.
Maybe I'll hijack one of the audience questions.
So I agree with the product. I love the rings, the design, the idea, the story that you started at the beginning about the reasons why you're doing this. What I would like to have seen more is a bit more of a flow of the story and then what you came up with, a little bit more statistics but less wording on the screen. So more that, 1 in 5 people in the world are, assaulted in some way or in danger at any given point, and kind of play up the fear that this is happening all the time and it could happen to you, it could happen to your children. I'd like to know a little more about, you found it being used by people who are using it in ways that you didn't expect it to be used. So is that the target market that you might go for, and what would that total addressable market be? It would be good to see a little bit more about the go-to strategy, and maybe have your slides kind of talk a little bit more about that, but make them, the design of the slides are very beautiful, but keep it very simple for us to follow through and a few more stats. And for the male side, we're hearing a lot more about PTSD and how that's affecting people, so that's also, so that's it.
I didn't answer that.
So great, I can see you have other types of wearable technology that is possible, so that's it.
Okay, the good, bad, and the ugly. The first 7 minutes, drop that. It doesn't serve to do anything at all. If you want to get right to the bottom line, either do a demo right up front or get right to the point. Never apologize for anything. Take control. Always be in control. If something screws up, let it roll. Keep on going forward. You never ever apologize for anything. Nobody cares about your research whatsoever. If your research is not sourced, it's meaningless. Absolutely meaningless. This is not a Kickstarter play. You will get ripped off beyond belief if you think this is going to go on Kickstarter and you're going to make any money off of this. I have to be very careful. If you are planning on going down that route, you should also look at utility patents and design patents, because those are going to be important. They don't cost that much to absolutely do. But putting a design patent on a ring is meaningless, so be aware of that. That's just wasting your money. Your claim effectively is your technology. You've got a lot of competitors in this space as well. You should know your competitors and how you differentiate from your competitors. I would be very wary too of other competitive applications that exist that don't use proprietary hardware, which would use voice recognition and also other voice commands that effectively do the same thing as well too. Since you've already got it on the Google Play Store and perhaps other stores and other aggregators, I'd be careful about that because your source code is very easily to be ripped off, whatever that is, because you basically opened up Pandora's box at that stage of the game. You also have to look at third-party public liability. You've got a lot of risk on your side because what if the application fails? I don't know if you've addressed that. I don't know if you figure out how much that costs, but you certainly got to be aware of that. You're in the protection space to some extent. I don't know if your background supports that. You're maybe in a tech background, but I would bring in some protection specialists to also cross-reference this based on the fact that you're providing a service which could fail. And it could fail based on the link between the ring and the phone. And I could just say to my phone, okay, Motos, you call help, and that could draw out a text message to 100 people just as easily, just as quick. You're still basically a phone app. I would be careful on how you go forward with this. Your idea is a great idea. I also wouldn't quote little statistics like 100 people surveys and 100 people sourced because that doesn't show any credibility whatsoever. 100 people I could stand in the corner of Young and Dundas and get 100 people to do something. That's effectively meaningless. Shore up your statistics. Don't use a PDF or your PowerPoint. Quote your statistics, get right to the point, and make sure that you show what this device does.
Okay, advisors, that was some really good feedback. I know you're probably itching to say something, but we're going to jump out to the crowd. So, anybody have any questions? Let's start right here. Oh, wait, right there. Go ahead.
Why do you need a wearable? You can geofence your phone with software, right? And you program that if you go, I don't know, if you don't call home at a certain hour, if you leave a certain place, notify somebody.
Yeah.
It's an auto dial.
You're correctly right. The reality is that the vast majority of people will not know how to do that. It's quite limited, and people understand how to use a button fairly easily. Besides, there's a lot of emergencies happen when you're not expecting them, right? So I understand that you can, if I knew I was going to fall there, I would crawl and not fall, but
you never know. Program your geofence. Okay, you're leaving home, you're going to the office, right? If you don't get from office to home between 5 and 6 o'clock, people get notified for an accident.
Yeah, no, it's a valid point.
Same thing for the whole.
It's a valid point. So, like I said, not a lot of people know how to do that.
Okay, second question.
So, you didn't mention how it works.
I'm sorry?
Is this a service or you're just trying to sell the device? That's my first question.
Yeah.
The second is, how does it work in terms of, is it a SIM card in it? Is it paired with the phone? That thing is not.
Okay, it's Bluetooth to the phone, and that's how it works.
So the follow-up question is, let's say I fall down, my phone dies.
Yeah.
Then this service wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
So basically, what we offer is an easy way for you to access your phone. So, like I said, most of us depend on our phones to call for help.
Okay.
However, accessing that phone is not always easy to do, or it can get complicated to go through. So basically, what we're offering is a very easy, streamlined way for you to access your phone.
Okay, one more question.
Have you tried dropping it, crashing and all that stuff?
Yeah, we've done drop tests, we've done all sorts of things. It's
waterproof?
It's water resistant at this point, but we're working on waterproof.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so our next startup is going to be Nima from Xmatic.
Yeah, they're gonna repeat the question. Hey, Ryan, do you have a third mic? Yeah, then give it to them. Greg, can you, when each question comes to the audience, the USB.
Can you pass the mic around when they do questions?
There's a case up on that thing. Would you just
Hello everyone. Hi. So sorry about the technical difficulties, but I'm gonna kind of walk back and forth a little bit. If clicker doesn't work, that happens. All right. So thank you everyone for listening to us. I'm glad to talk about Axmatic. So. My name is Nima, and I'm the CEO and product architect of Axmatic Inc. I'm joined by an amazing group of engineers. Robert, our CTO, is a software genius, but also a master's in electrical engineering, works with companies like Bombardier, Gavion, who is an AI expert and a veteran in the field of AI. Ex-Googler, and myself, ex-Tesla. We got Shashi, who's also a vision lead. He's done his master's in software as well. Mostly his thesis on LiDAR and camera fusion for self-driving cars. So, what are we here to talk about? The problem is that driving in general is quite a monotonous and boring task. So, especially on the sort of long stretches of highway and bumper-to-bumper traffic, it gets quite boring. But it's not just boring. It's quite dangerous, killing some 37,000 people in the U.S. alone. And you don't. That's mostly due to driver error and distraction. But you take our word for it. You can look at the massive amount of investment in this space to understand that this is a problem that needs addressing, and the market size potential being somewhere around $560 billion. So the niche problem that we're trying to address is that self-driving is currently quite out of reach for most consumers. You just can't get it. And the other problem is that self-driving is quite expensive, especially as you move up towards the levels in level 4 and level 5 technology. And that's because of the sheer amount of hardware required to actually achieve that level of self-driving. And even when the actual technology is available, the deployment is quite slow, and mostly the nature of the auto industry in general, kind of having a very high momentum, high inertia kind of market. So you could really break down the self-driving space into 3 segments, and that's mostly by cost. First, you got your fully self-driving solutions. They're going to come from things like Google, Uber, and they're focused on removing the driver entirely. So that's going to be really expensive, as I mentioned, on a per equipment basis. So their cost model is mostly based on removing the driver entirely, and so they're hoping to recoup that cost in driving. And it's still yet to be seen whether that's a workable model for business. Then you got your OEMs, your Teslas, your Mercedes, your Volvos, and they're trying to bring in self-driving features into their newest, most amazing cars, their flagship models. And the price of admission here is that you got to buy a new car, and generally a luxury car. So, but in the third segment of the market, there are competitors trying to basically create user-installable kits that transform regular cars into self-driving cars. And that's actually the space Axmatic is in. So that brings me to our product, Lane Cruise. Lane Cruise is our add-on aftermarket kit that will transform your existing car into a self-driving car. If you want to be in this market, universality is key. So you can't have a kit that works for only the Mercedes C-Class. It needs to work on the vast majority of cars already on the road. And we do that with Lane Cruise. And the way we do that is it doesn't just make it universal, it makes it very safe with the vehicle. We leave it as it was, operating the same base, put it to the dash. And Lane Cruise is quite low cost, so that we're lowering the barrier to entry for self-driving in general for the general public. So you can afford it if you can afford this computer right here. It's easy to install. That means under an hour, either you or a mechanic can install it. And that's the idea. We don't want it to be a burden. And beyond just self-driving, it's not just about driving. It's about the fact that we're putting a PC in your car. And the potentials of that are massive if you think about it. We call this PC Brainbox. Now a lot of people come up here and talk to you about platforms. Platform this, platform that. Guess what? Platform means something. And it means that it's something upon which other things could be built. And that's exactly what Brainbox is. Now with an uplink, we don't just collect data from our own sensors. We can collect driver behavior, we can collect congestion, we can collect data that's immensely valuable, not just for us to use for writing in-car apps, as well as sort of other software startups that can write on our platform, but also for companies, insurance companies, and advertisers. You can use it for fleet management, parking data, B2B applications. It's immense. In essence, a lot of companies are trying to do this. The difference between that and us is that we're incentivizing the driver to buy and put a computer in their car by giving them self-driving. So who are the competitors? Mobileye just got sold for $15.3 billion. Not a small amount of money. Well, they have some technology. The only issue is that they don't really address the aftermarket. They're mostly concerned with the new car market. So they supply parts to OEMs, Volvo, Mercedes, those stuff. But they don't have a path for true self-driving as an aftermarket. What they do have as an aftermarket is a warning system, so you can buy it, put it in your car, it'll beep at you if you're about to get into an accident. So we've included them here. They may enter that market, so we've kind of thought of them as a potential competitor. The most apple-to-apple comparison you can make when it comes to other companies is Kama AI, folks by the name of George Hotz at San Francisco, startup like us. I actually know George. They have a hack system, so basically they override your car's internal commands and they tap into the electronics of the car. And not only does that raise a safety concern, it also makes it so it doesn't work with most cars because it needs your car to have all the hardware on board for it to control. So the vast majority of cars can't apply to it. And so George actually understands this, and we don't really view him as a competitor. We see him as a customer. And he wants to buy our system. What does he want to buy? A path to true universality. And that's our MVP, a drive-by-wire system. Basically giving any regular car the potential to be controlled digitally. And that opens a lot of avenues for existing software startups that are really focused on the software-heavy side of autonomy. And where are they going to take their products? They go to the OEMs. They go say, hey OEMs, please buy me, just more software. The problem is, that's tough. We give them a path straight to the consumer because we can allow them that hardware barrier, that hardware layer, so that they can actually go straight onto a car, any consumer, any car. That's the beauty of it. And so what it includes is basically our external actuation system, our steering wheel controller, and our pedal controllers. And it's not just other startups that are going to be able to use this. You can use it for disability services on disabled enabled cars, and you could be James Bond, drive your car with your cell phone. It's fun. So you can't really talk about self-driving without talking about legal ramifications. And we are one of only 3 entities in Ontario licensed to test self-driving vehicles on the road. And it's important to note that self-driving vehicles at level 2 and level 3 are already on the road. So Ford manufacturers already in Ontario, you could buy them, drive them around, no problem. So we're not introducing something that's entirely new to the regulators, we're just applying it to a much bigger market. The other issue to keep in mind is that level 2, level 3 self-driving has a much lower bar for regulatory approval than level 4, level 5. And that's because the driver's still liable. They're still in charge, they're still monitoring the system and able to intervene at all times. And so the regulatory framework is based around disengagement, giving people the control back if they want it. And we have a really amazing system for that. We've already got 20,000 miles of data. That's self-driving data, and we can use that to prove our hardware. And Ontario is an amazing space for this. Not only because the government is very focused on making Ontario an AI hub, but also because Ontario is no slouch when it comes to actual car market. We're as big as Michigan. So it's a gigantic car market as well, in terms of cars on the road that could actually get our technology inside. So what's our plan? We've so far built our prototype, which we've unveiled in CES 2017 in January. And that basically was the path fully funded by our founders. And we developed all the core technologies necessary to achieve this. And over the next 2 stages, phase 2 and phase 3, we're going to be basically making our MVP and then the final product that you can buy. And lastly, I want to talk about this space. This space is giant. I mean, giant. And why do I say that? It's because we're in the early parts of an adoption curve. That means everyone's talking about self-driving, and yet you look out on the roads, not a lot of self-driving cars. That's the perfect spot to be when it comes to self-driving, when it comes to any startup. That's the best spot when it comes to technology adoption. Deals that are going on have real 1000x potential. That means Mobileye, 15.3 billion. That means cruise automation, GM, 1.3 billion. And it goes on. Deals like this are going to be common for the next 2 to 3 years. And we have a path into that. And the other aspect of it is the largest applicable market. So all the other car makers, they can make autonomous cars. You're absolutely right. But guess what? GM's ability to put autonomous cars on the road is limited by the number of cars GM can make. And I'm done. So, oh, and I have a demo video. I don't know if you want to watch it, but I'll just let it run.
Okay, perfect. That was great. Okay, we'll jump right into the advisors. All you, sir.
I like where you're going with it. You should have started off with the video first. Short, sweet, 30 seconds, get right to the point. I think it's good to talk about your backgrounds, and that's fine. No doubt about that. You've got a good crew. It seems like they have the ability to put this together. I'm not so sure this is real big AI. This kind of vision systems is quasi-AI. I'm not too sure how sophisticated it is, but I would have liked to have seen the install. I would have liked to have seen it working right up front. I would have liked to have seen how proprietary it is. Kind of worried a little bit about what it's doing in terms of tying into the car, whether or not I could hack that, whether it's encrypted, whether it's proprietary, whether it's on a specific type of a network, how is the interface going back and forth between the car. I would love to talk about cost. I would like to see what you're charging for this. You kind of give me the idea that it's free. I don't know if that's true or not, but at the same point, you kind of led me to believe that. You could have a free model, and you could make a lot of money off of a free model. There's absolutely no doubt about that. I have some worries about liability. I have some worries about mechanical failure as well, too. Because as good as a self-driving system is, you've always got to worry about mechanical failure. Even though this is a quasi-auto assist type system, so it's not a pure self-driving system, it's an assist-based system, mechanical failure can still cause some major issues. I don't know how you're looking at tying into the car's computer, whether it's looking at a blowout on the tire, whether it's looking at a fault in the wheel, whether it's looking at a gas pedal failure, whether it's looking at a carburation or a fuel tech or any kind of those different systems that could go wrong. I'd like to know how that actually fits into it. I think you're in a good space, you've got a lot of good stuff going. Pick up the pace a little bit. I think when you're presenting, you've got a good product here. Don't be frightened to be feeling comfortable. I think this is a good play.
there aren't too many people in the audience like Wally, and I have to say that I think you have a really cool product. I just don't think you even showed me how cool it was, because you spent so much time talking with a lot of words on the screen and a lot of visuals and logos, and I didn't really get a sense of just how cool it was. So I wasn't shown a very simple pitch that had less words and more just say, like for instance, you talk about 37,000 people, was it that are in accidents? Just put the word 37,000 on the screen and like show an image of an accident or something, like just that. That's all you need. Like all those words, everything else, like I'm starting to, my mind is trailing. I'm not sure what you're talking about. You're going too far down the road. So address the things that people are thinking about, but do it very succinctly. And the team, I'm not impressed by that team until I know what that team is doing. So put it towards the end. Tell me a little bit more about the product in the beginning, and like Wally said, show the demo in the beginning. Like, that's pretty cool. I can get into my car and I don't need to drive it. Awesome. So I'd say just tighten it up. It really needs to be tight, and like 6, maximum 20 words on the screen and nice big pictures, and make it easy for people like myself to understand. And also like words like OEM, right? Not industry, like that's a word you know and everyone should know, but regular people won't. So I would just say make it a little bit less, like a little bit simpler. Thanks.
I think I'm just going to echo more or less what my colleagues have said. You mentioned problem statement, 37,000 accidents. You didn't say how this technology would address that. There are buzzwords going around the industry, self-driving cars, artificial intelligence, and I know you mentioned some of them, but you didn't describe your product. You didn't say how it stands out and addresses. To the technical person, self-driving cars, they can understand, have the technology to address accidents, have sensors, have all these. Well, the technology monitors the behavior of the car and the people around it, but you haven't said that. I think maybe the audience would be more of a more technical level. You're probably pitching to engineers, not all investors might be engineers, but might be people who are interested. So I kind of echo what my colleagues here have said, more or less. Thanks.
Okay, great, that was good. Let's jump into some questions. Who has questions in the crowd?
Yep. Go ahead, you're on.
So you didn't mention cost, number one. Okay. The other thing that was not is cost. If you're giving it to investors, say, what should it be?
Yeah, I just didn't want it here. Okay.
Ford that said that if we're paying attention to his customer, he would have given them a faster horse rather than a car. And I'm just wondering, I was struggling in your presentation, thinking to myself, why would I want to give up my autonomy? Why would I want to ever stop driving a car and give it to, some nascent technology that I don't know is tested? And I started running through in my head all sorts of ideas, like, I have a friend who's a new mom and she doesn't have her driver's license, and she needed me to go to Mississauga and drive her to the doctor's appointment, et cetera, et cetera. And disabled, you touched on that, people who have challenges physically, but they're not able to drive the car. I was just wondering if you could touch into a little bit more about how you might appeal to a customer and their sensibility like me. How would you convince me that, even though I'm not the greatest driver, why I would want to give up my autonomy and my choice to drive that car?
So there is, that's a great question, by the way. We get it a lot. So there is actually multiple things you could look at. One is that I should give you maybe an example. I'm sure if I was standing here 20 years ago talking to you and I was the CEO of Garmin, and I said, I just make this amazing thing, I put it in the car and it tells you where to go, it's amazing, and you'd be like, why do I need that? I got maps right here. So there's definitely some of that hesitation. But once you get into our car and you drive around for a little while and you get a sense of the sheer amount of convenience it is to actually be on the highway without constantly being worried on the highway, you realize especially that we're not saying saying give up your autonomy. We're not giving you full autonomy. We're giving you sort of drive assistance. So it's kind of like, if you're sitting there and driving and you feel like your eyelids are closing, that's a really boring kind of drive. That's not winding through curves. That's usually going.
My brother got
Exactly. And those kinds of situations are exactly the kinds of things that Link Boost resolves. And the other thing is that most people are already texting and driving. This is a reality. This acts as an extra barrier between you and their texting. So if they're not going to hit the brake before bumping into you, the system will. And so it's not just about convenience, it's about saving lives, and that sort of somewhat ties into that question.
Great presentation. Technology seems really promising. I can't remember if you mentioned this in your presentation. Are you looking at the freight market of equipping trucks for the shipping industry? Did you mention that?
Yeah, so the applications for our industry and monetization is quite wide, as you could understand. Freights, contractors, fleets, business-to-business kind of deals can definitely have an amazing impact, especially when it comes to the fact that you don't want to replace a vehicle that costs $250,000 to $500,000 just to get one feature. So even if Mercedes came out with the next tractor trailer and they said, you know, it's got the level 3 self-driving, that means you'd have to charge $300,000 to get that one. And this system costs a whole lot less. You could add it on. Absolutely, it's going to happen.
And not only that, I think that is your fastest path to revenue by securing a contract with a trucking company. If you can actually get it working well enough that you can pass all the safety tests, because precisely for the reasons that were brought up, that the concerns are brought up by Courtney, you're gonna have more of an adoption curve with the consumer market. You're gonna want to secure a big contract with the trucking industry where their only concern is bottom line, and they could have lower paid drivers or convert the drivers in the trucks into office workers who are essentially working in a mobile office.
Right, so it's a good point and all.
Okay, one last question in the back there.
I really like your product, so really great job on this. But you know what, I'm going to be honest with you. When you first got up there, I thought you were going to talk about falling asleep in the car. Because it's something that I almost experience when I'm sitting in traffic. So it's actually, my question is a really simple one. Let's say that I'm sitting in the car and I do fall asleep because now I don't have to worry about it. So rather than having to slap myself, open the window, turn on the music, pinch myself, drink a Red Bull or whatever, now I actually can just snooze. So how do I wake up?
So, it's a great question. And a lot of people talk about the encouragement that might give someone to, further not engage with driving. And it's an absolute, the possible and true fact. And yet, Tesla Autopilot is super, super popular. So even though you could, and it will warn you, the system will warn you if something is about to happen and wants you to take over. It will warn you auditorily, and it will warn you by giving you little shakes on the steering wheel and giving you sort of buzzes, and visually as well. And we can make sort of means by which we warn you more aggressively if you're a big sleeper. But really, you have to understand that when you're on a very long drive, if you're ever sitting in the passenger side of the vehicle, and if you realize the driver is getting a lot more tired waiting for the passenger, right? Even though they're pretty fair enough that if there's an accident, they're going to yell at you and say, wait, don't do that. So your level of driving is a lot like the passenger now. You will be alert enough to disengage if something weird is going on. But at the same time, your level of actually getting tired throughout the drive is so much lower. And that's value. That's value because you can, people say open road, you can go anywhere you want. Yeah, as long as you can pilot the car. And that's the real, you could drive wherever you want if you can stay awake and do it. And that's the reality. It makes it so that you can go a longer distance. It makes it so that you can do that with a lower stress. If you're in bumper-to-bumper traffic, especially, this is amazing. I mean, in traffic, you're just inching forward, and for that reason only, I would just hand down, put my mind on, okay, take that task away from me, and that's the reality.
Yeah, no, that's Great, thanks. I just wanted to, it's not a joke, I was actually just trying to see the trust level, if it's so high enough that I actually could fall asleep and not have to worry about getting home.
Yeah, so like I said, it will be better. I want you to wake up. The other thing I want to say about trust is a lot of people have have issues trusting new technology, and I understand that. But we don't ask you to trust it. We ask you to put your hand on the steering wheel, turn it off for 1 second, turn it off again. Next time, turn it off for 3 seconds, turn it off again. Next time, turn it off for 10 seconds, turn it off again. And slowly you'll understand how the system works. Slowly you'll begin to understand and trust it. And as you do that, you realize, wow, this is really cool. So.
That was awesome. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to take a 10-minute break. So work around, network, you've all got name tags. So why don't you hug the person beside you and start talking away. We'll talk in 10.
Awesome, thanks guys, that was good. So far so good. Yeah, that was good, good. You gotta come from every angle, right? And I like it, they're on the seat going, I want to talk. And I like that, that's good.
I can't understand how you can do something like that for a couple of $1,000 when they're putting up self-driving cars for $20,000. That's the big thing. That's the reason why. And I didn't want to, like, how can you produce something for a couple of
I think what happens is there are some
and then he didn't really say, does it completely self-drive? It doesn't. And then that means that you gotta wear that thing all the time. You know, they're depending on people who buy it. You know what? No,
How's it going so far? Oh, yeah. Two teachers were the police. I'm like, okay, I'm going to put the thing for chairman. How is it going so far? You guys like it so far? Do me a favor, Brian. Keep this thing close to you because it's my phone and it's our business.
Right. It's plugged in, so it's not going to run out or anything.
No, I plug it in with the battery.
That's
I still have battery.
I have to get one of those.
Jeff, if we're locked out, we're calling him for a ride. What's that? There's a parking lot in the street called Twilight Street. I've never even heard of Twilight. So it was a green key. We drove down, we went right into a parking spot. There was no tickets, and there's no man door.
Really? No man door. So please shut that over and over.
I'll give you guys a ride over there.
What we say, Jeff? It's the first time we've been to a green
Good evening, everybody. We're going to get back at it, so if you guys can kind of wrap up quickly and we'll switch over to this side of the room again. Hey guys, hey guys. Pitch it, guys, pitch it. Okay, everybody, we're gonna have to hug it out, one last hug, and now we gotta get into it. Let's go. You guys see John, we're networking in like 45 minutes. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Tim, can you swing up to the front too, please? Show me a bit. Okay. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started. So the next startup that we're going to bring up is Entre Launch. Rebecca.
Good evening, everyone. Are we ready to get back to business?
Do it.
So, thank you, judges, thank you, audience, thank you, the organizers, thank you for having us here tonight. We're really excited about what we're doing. I hope you can hear me. I think I'm a little shorter than the mic is. Okay. So, I'm Rebecca Palmer, and our company is Entre Launch Inc. And we are really working on something that we think is going to have a huge impact globally. So, to get right to the point, we're looking for $500,000 and some strategic partnerships. But that's not what's important. What's important is what we're actually working on. Am I saying this? Wrong way. Okay, so the thing that we're working on is solving global youth unemployment, starting right here in Canada. It's something that's near and dear to my heart. I have 4 kids of my own. I've watched my teens struggle to find work. I'm seeing teens come out of university, college, and out of post-secondary school, all types of levels of education, and they can't find the work. And that problem's just going to get worse because jobs are disappearing. Artificial intelligence is replacing the jobs, the entry-level jobs that they currently are employed in, such as fast food, and other jobs are being replaced by technology, meaning that it's even harder to find work. With the increase of technology, there's another problem there. It's not a problem for many people, it's a solution. But for our teens who need to find work, it's a whole new avenue for them to go down. They don't know what jobs will exist in 10 years from now. So it's a changing market, and we need our youth to be flexible and be able to adapt. So what we're doing, we're bringing teens entrepreneurial training, thinking, innovation, and being able to spark that energy for them to create their own future. We're doing it in many ways, both in partnerships with schools and also as individual workshops and programs for people who do not do well in school. And we're really hoping that that will help prepare them for the future. We know it will, actually. There's no doubt about it. If we teach them how to think, if we teach them how to build a scalable business, if we teach them the basics of financial literacy and education as to entrepreneurship, it's really going to help them succeed in the future. And it doesn't matter whether they start their own business or whether they become entrepreneurs. So either entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs, it's going to help them in the future. So what we did is we've already created our first franchise. What our basic model is Entourage Inc. Owns all our IP, it owns our content, it develops the program, and then Entourage Foundation is our first franchise registered in Canada. We already have partners in place in South Africa and a few other countries who are ready to launch our programs once they're ready to go. So what are the programs? What exactly are we offering? We're offering workshops, live workshops and events. We offer our signature Impact Cup event, which is basically a 3-day adventure where they get to go from creating an idea, going all the way through the process of building that idea until they get to the pitch stage. We provide them with tools along the way, education, and guidance, but we let them do it as a self-led project. So that event will be held in colleges, universities, but more importantly in the secondary schools and elementary schools. We're looking at bringing it into a provincial and federal challenge, as well as being able to go on to a global level at one point. The other thing we're doing is building online courses because we know how important it is for people to be able to access information on demand when they need it, where they need it. They don't need a 10-month course, they don't need a full college program, but they need the chance to learn the things they need to know, whether it's how to do a pitch, obviously I need that course, but we're going with it, to actually planning out a business, looking at who the end user is. If you're building a gadget, say a clicker, and you don't know who it's for or how it's going to benefit the world, what's the sensibility of your clicker? Knowing why you're doing something is really, really important. So that's another thing that we're instilling in these youth. Our target market is age 10 to 24. In Canada alone, there are 2 million youth aged 15 to 24. The 10 to 14 range are not measured. At least not in the stats I was looking for in terms of who's unemployed and who is out of school. So right now we have 2 million Canadian youth. We're targeting just 1% of that amount. And we feel we can really reach those students all over Canada. So this is a little bit of what we're doing. Some of the other things that we did not mention, we have an online membership program with global entrepreneurs to allow the young entrepreneurs to connect to the older entrepreneurs and really learn about what the experienced entrepreneurs are going for. We feel there's a symbiotic relationship where everybody can learn from each other. The other thing, workshops such as this here, this is actually my daughter at a summer gaming camp last year. And this is the type of level of things that 11-year-olds can accomplish. She built her own video game. She's actually a published video game author with her name mentioned in the claims. I have my youngest 8-year-old, he's developing plans on how to help kids in Haiti, complete with mind maps of how he's going to get the plane and get medicine and toys and food. And this is something that they've basically learned on themselves. They've watched some of what I'm doing, but they're doing it on their own. We have our college students when we do green hack events. We partner with the local college, Georgian College, as well as the Best Ferry to put different events. So at the green hack events, we have these students come in with amazing, amazing ideas. And the best part about it is because they are still teens, because they are still young, they still think it's possible. They still think anything is possible. Can you imagine not being limited by what you've been told is not possible? What could you do if you thought anything was possible? So that is why we really want to work with the teens, and that's why it excites me so much, because I know these amazing things are going to create. So the other thing up on the screen is a little bit of our membership page, showing some of the different members and profiles. It also gives them a chance to be able to say if they're looking for founders or funding or information. There is also a forum tied into it, so they can ask questions if they need it. It will eventually be made private for our younger students, for our teens and youth, because we want to make sure that we're protecting them against online predators and other legal ramifications. It's also something that we've instilled in all our workshops and programs. We're making sure that everybody has police checks and first aid and everything we need to do to make sure that the youth in our care, the youth in our workshops and events are also safe while they're learning how to create their own future. So here's some of our different revenue streams. We have 7. We have our Spark Village, which we're just working on finalizing now. It will be a local workshop providing experience for our youth and everything from maker labs to wood shops to courses, in-person courses, and other experiences, because we know the importance of having something local for the kids to go to. And it also serves as our headquarters, which is so important. We need office space. We have to have a place for people to be able to come and get advice. So, and then we have our membership program, as I discussed, and followed by that, our online programs. We're in the process right now of looking for instructors for the online programs. As I mentioned, they're available on demand, when they need it, where they need it, and short enough that it's going to keep the attention. We also are working on an EntreFund program and an EntreLoan program. So these are specific funds for teens. We have EntreFunds will be funded by endowments, which is part of the 500,000 ask that we were looking for. And then EntreLoans, I'm sorry, I have that reversed. EntreLoans are the loans from the endowment. EntreFunds is a crowdfunding platform specifically for teen projects. And then we mentioned the Impact Cup event, which is our signature event, and we will be working on some sponsorships as well to make sure that we're reaching all kids. We don't want anybody to be blocked out of our program because of their geographic location, their income level, whether their parents can afford or have the time to take them places. We want to be able to make it as easy as possible for teens to be able to access programs in school and out of school, because our target audience is not just who the competition is servicing. Our competition being Junior Achievers, DECA, Y2 Labs in York Region, and other programs out there like that that target largely youth who are already heading off to college or university. They're the ones in the advanced classes. We're also targeting the at-risk youth, the poor learners, the ones that are going to drop out of school or have dropped out of school, because those are the youth who are going to make a difference as entrepreneurs. When I talk to entrepreneurs around the world, they all tell me a story of how they had trouble in school, they didn't know what they do, but with a little guidance, they managed to become very successful entrepreneurs. So, Spark Village, we talked about that. We want to spark the creativity, of course. We do have a team that we're building, myself, Christine who's in the room, and then a second Christine because it's easier to just name them all the same. And they've come on board to really help build out our program. We also have a couple of global advisors, and we're actively recruiting more people, in particular people with background in fundraising and grants, and also in curriculum development. And then, because we're working with teens, because I'm a little bit crazy as well, we really believe in creativity is intelligence having fun. That is my T-Rex costume, and maybe in it. And we believe in incorporating fun into everything we do to make it more engaging for the youth. So that is everything. I really look forward to your questions. I'm much better at Q&A, so go away, give me your worst and best feedback.
That was good. Thank you. Okay, Sarah, you get to start this time.
I love the idea. I love your vision and where you're going with it. I think it's so important that we do start educating our kids young and letting them know about possibilities and what they can be when they grow up. And I don't think that the education system does that. What I would encourage you to do is actually create a bit more pain in the beginning of the story and tell me about either a personal story of your daughter and how she was reeling from not knowing what to do, and now she's taking down a path of now where is she? Or talk about someone in the program. I didn't really get a sense of how far along you are in this program. Your children are involved, that's clear. I don't know if I would necessarily talk about them as your kids, but just say, this is one example of one student, this is an example of another. But I do want to know where you're at. I know you're raising 500, which I would put towards the end if that's what your ask is. But explain what your rollout will be. Talk about these other programs that are franchised or wherever in South Africa a little bit later as well. So I'd say the way that you draft the story and you explain it, just open it up a little bit for me. So talk about the pain points, then talk about how you're going to solve it, what your vision is. Is this just in Canada? Are you seeing this around the world? Is this franchised? Is this just within Ontario schools? I didn't really get a good sense, and if you did say it, ignore ahead with that. So that would be my feedback.
Rebecca, I thought it was fantastic. I really liked the concept, and I feel really touches a lot of people. And me at a certain level, because I'm working with a company that does artificial intelligence, and I know that there's going to be huge unemployment in the future. Machines are going to take over. What I feel that I missed from your presentation is the pitching, and I feel that again, I wasn't sure if I know it's not a charity, and he sends it for profit and not for profit, two separate sections. But I do not get whether you were asking for funding as a funding to a charity or funding as in I'm going to make a lot of money out of this in the future. I think that really, the product itself is brilliant, but from the pitch, that's not the kind of thing, that's not what I've got easily. That's what I want for.
This one kind of lost me a little bit, Rebecca, on this one. The $500,000 and correlating it between whether you're profit or non-profit, whether you've got revenue streams, whether you're a franchise, I don't know where you are. There's no correlation between success in academia, or there's no correlation, I don't believe, between taking courses and getting a job. There's no correlation between taking courses and being successful. There's all sorts of other factors in there. What's the purpose of secondary school? What's the purpose of post-secondary schools? There's all sorts of online free aggregators of information. Coursera, there's just tons of the stuff that's out there. Mentoring programs have been out there and have failed miserably over the years, and they continue to fail. They're good in some ways. They do help the odd person out here and there. They take a huge amount of cognitive overhead to get them going. There's very little motivation on the part of those who are always being asked to give more and give more and give more and give more. People who want answers to questions. So developing course curriculum, teaching course curriculum, that's going to be an expensive proposition. I don't know very many profitable schools. That's why we have government funding. That's why schools basically operate with a need for constant injections of cash. I think you've got a real difficult line and model to hold here. I guess if I had to give you recommendations, get clear right up front. What are you? Where are you? What are you doing? And if you're asking for money, are you asking for donations? Are you asking for an investment? Am I going to get money back? What am I getting for money? What would anybody get for their money? How are you different than everybody else? What's your value proposition that's going to provide some sort of a realizable benefit? I think you're all over the map too. You've got so many things that are happening. You need to get focused. You can't have those 7 revenue streams without at least one good stream that's working. And you're nowhere near close to being a franchisable commodity right now. I think if you could get a good revenue stream working and provide some sort of assistance to a fairly large pool of individuals on a realizable basis over a number of periods, whatever those periods happen to be, academic terms, years, whatever the case may be, that would probably vet your financial model where you could probably start asking for things. But the reality is, to get all these things going with what you're trying to do right now, 5 large is not going to make a dent into this. It just won't even cut it.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys, so we're going to jump into Q&A. So there's a question in the back right there.
Yeah, I'll just go. Thank you. I'll just kind of add on to what you were saying there. Like, it's unclear to me how I, as an investor who would give you some money, would get a return on that, and what that would look like, and how. I mean, I think this is an incredibly valuable project, and an incredibly value added for teenagers, and it's useful. But I'm just curious as to, if I hand you $100,000, what is my outlook for that? Is it a gift? Is it a investment? What is it? And it just wasn't unclear. It was unclear to me as to how that would unfold.
Okay, so the question was more about how we're looking at the funding we're looking for. So there are several things that we're looking at. Nice, right? With the 500,000, we're looking at a combination of funds. Sorry, we're looking at a combination of funds with some of the money coming from endowments, some of the money going towards our Entre Loan program, which will have a 4 to 6% return for investors, and then also into the course development. The courses themselves will be short courses, also some membership opportunities there where it will also generate revenue. The money generating products are actually based out of Entre Launch Inc., out of the for-profit, whereas the school-based programs, the programs that are not going to be generating income, are the ones that are based out of our foundation.
Okay, any other questions? All right, it looks like we've tackled them all. Oh wait, sorry.
Here.
Oh, sorry, the bright light. I couldn't see that. Sorry.
Okay. My core question is, the entire education system is built around getting students ready for the job place. If a student is not prepared in school, not successful in school, what makes you think feel successful in your program?
Okay, so the question is, why would students be successful in my program when they're not successful in school?
Yes.
Part of it is the fact that our programs are going to be taught differently than school programs are taught. They're on different subjects. They relate more to what they're doing. It can relate more to what they're interested in as well. So it also generates that interest in the student. There's many students who struggle through traditional school for a variety of reasons, whether it's ADHD or some other disability, or whether it's bullying or just not quite understanding what's going on. There's a lot of factors that go into why some students are poor learners. But those same students do excellent in other types of programs and other types of learning. By offering very flexible options with online learning, in-person workshops, and more casual events, it really allows them to get out and learn in a variety of ways.
Okay, Carlos, we have one last question.
So I share your philosophy. I personally take upon myself a lot about the education of my kids, so I understand what you're doing. My question would be, or my concern is, so the problem with education, so the education today works, quote unquote, because it's mandatory, so kids have to go. How would you address inspiration for those kids who don't have to go, but yet you would have to provide something for them? So I think there's a lot of work that we have to do inspiring kids to try to do something different, something new, and that's a lot of the problems we have today with education. The problem is, if you have a wonderful platform, how do you inspire those kids to actually take advantage of that platform?
It's a variety of ways to be able to inspire the kids. It's by going into the schools and getting them interested in something they never thought was possible. It's through holding events that are meant to be fun and creative and let them be able to lead themselves through the process, because when they lead themselves, it's different than being taught in front of a board and just listening to someone speak and speak and speak. You're letting them experiment, and whenever you get creative and start experimenting, it makes you more excited about what you're doing. So that's a few of the ways that we'll be addressing it.
Okay, that's awesome. I have a few people I'm going to introduce you to, because Lucas Chang, who was on our last board, he's awesome Y2, and what they do at Y2 is they provide youth in high school opportunities to build business and pitch. And they work at Startup York and a bunch of places, so they're fantastic, so you'll want to talk with them as well. Okay, well, thank you very much. Okay, so for the last pitch that we have, I'm just going to throw out there, there's a bowl, put your, I was going to say put your credit card in it, but that's not what it is. You have to put in your business card. It's an option if you want to throw it in there, just make sure the pin's with it. But throw in your business card. We're going to do a quick raffle for some Ninja t-shirts, so you know everybody likes being a ninja, so we have those. But the next startup we're going to be is coming up right now, FM Match with David.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm David Quinville. I'm the founder of FH Match. FH Match started about 3 years or so ago, June 2014. FH Match is an end-to-end marketplace focused on professionals in fitness, health, and wellness, and connecting the two together in a business management and marketing platform. So that's it in a nutshell. Why I built FH Match and came to FH Match was back 3 years ago. I traveled quite a bit. I'm in IT and operations. I manage projects globally. And I'm in Europe all the time, the US, Canada, and other places. And in that, I like to stay fit, and trying to find that personal trainer or that massage therapist and get that appointment that I need was hard to do. Not all websites are created, very difficult to find, and very difficult to stay in touch with. Professionals, another side of that coin was they have a hard time staying in business. The attrition rates are horrible, especially personal training, health coaches, nutritionists. On that side of it, you got chiropractors, the most stable you would think, but you know, the rules change for them, and 25 to 35% of them now, after 10 years, are out of business. So it's not just difficult for the consumer to spend tons of time on the website trying to find these professionals, locate these professionals, engage, and then feel comfortable enough to book them, or waste an appointment, or waste a lot of time on the computer. So the big issue for them was, you know, I'm wasting all this time, and they either give up, or they just can't find the right person, or they go to the hotel concierge, or whoever. But there was no real engagement. So then what we did was we did a private beta for an app. We soon realized in our private beta we focused on 30 professionals on 5 modalities, and of those modalities it turned into 60 different specialties. We learned that professionals are one thing and many things. They're consumers, they buy services, personal trainers, a nutritionist, a dietitian, maybe they're selling supplements. You know, chiropractors are doing a bunch of different things, and everybody's trying to stay relevant and find that audience. The other part of it is they're not marketing experts, so they can't be located. We can't find that right professional for them, or that consumer to engage and manage that engagement effectively, because they're providing excellent service. They're not marketers. They don't have the financial resources or the ability to do so. So we ended up scrapping the platform, the app, and we went to a platform base. And we changed that 60, and we brought them on board, and we had over 180 different specialties. From those 180 specialties, what we found was the engagement was huge between the professionals. So it was really cool. So what we wanted to do is we needed them to get discovered, because we still weren't solving one of the problems. Day one, what do I get if there's no consumers coming to this platform? I need to get discovered, I need to get found, need to be able to manage them, and then collect and receive payment, and then manage their invoicing side. So the business management marketing aspect of it all really needed to be a part of this platform. We still focus on the same 5 modalities, because it's a big ocean to boil, and we don't want to try. So we didn't want to waste our time with that. So we still got the 5 modalities, and we have more than enough to deal with now. We don't stop anybody from changing the modalities of what they're about. So on that, when these professionals needed to come on the platform and have and handle their clientele, it had to be easy to use. It had to be open and accessible because everyone's a commitment phone. Nobody wants to give any information for anything. They want to just see the professionals, see what they're all about, be driven traffic to, and if I'm going to book on FH Match, I can, or if I'm going to circumvent, I can still go to the professional social links. I never gave any information. I have full carte blanche access to these people. So it's valuable for them. One is we're an open ecosystem, not a closed ecosystem. So what we do is, and I won't get too detailed, but it was important that they got found on Google, Yahoo, and Bing, where people actually search. So if they're going to get found there, we needed to do something with the way we set up these profiles and how they're discovered. So we meta tag, we semantic searching, SEO, blah, blah, blah. But if you look at Yellow Pages, closed ecosystem, you know, it's expensive to get them faster, but you're on their ecosystem. You have to, the individual has to be there to discover them on Yellow Pages being the ecosystem. Google, Yahoo, and Bing is open and accessible, so we need to be the same thing, so we're a feeder. You can almost say, is it an aggregator? Well, who knows, time will tell. But from our perspective, it was important for us to make them discoverable and then give them the options to do different things. So you have personals, you have professionals that are independent, and you have corporations. On the corporations, it was really important that they had a place as well, because you have health centers, everybody's consolidating, everybody wants to stay in business, they all want to be able to manage it effectively and easily. So for us, the corporate side was really important. Without confusing the message, it still needed to be an open marketplace, still be open and accessible, and then I can engage with either a health center, an individual, or who would be it. So on that side, we have, and I don't want to go too much in the professional plan side because it'll be confusing, but you have the light profile, which is always free, the LinkedIn type stuff. And then you have a premium, which is fixed at booking. And then you have a corporate side to manage your health centers and whatnot. I put them together on the same slide, so you probably think this is really busy, and it is. On the other side of it, we focus on the main fee structure for us is merchant fees and subscriptions. That's what we care about. But we have 4 levels in our business model, how we'll generate revenue. Some do, so we don't focus too heavily on that. But we're focusing more on the subscription side. We have a reseller program. So when we go through our strategy, we thought, well, that's a big ocean still, even when those 5 modalities get discovered in different regions. So how can we best do that? We needed to have credibility going in. So great, I'm discovered and found, that's awesome. But who's FH Manager? I have no idea. So how do I get found? So Google made sense to feed into that network. The other part of that, from an SEO, but outside of the SEO perspective, was there's accredited bodies on those 5 modalities. There's a ton of large organizations. We're in over, you know, probably, we're not in about 100 different countries right now. We have a good representation of 120,000 people using our website. But more importantly, that number is small. It should be 10, 50 times that to really make it a big impact and be that platform of choice. So we're working hard on that. So in the last 3 months, we started focusing on partners with huge networks. And we're in white labeling conversations, and white labeling, you know, lack of a better term, is, you know, they're going to bring in-house FH Match ability to manage their own clientele, and then they're going to resell FH Match as a marketplace to their own audience. So if you look at organizations, and I don't want to say too many, but I'll stick with some of the ones that you see here. Like Shaw Academy has 30,000 users in Europe. Huge, lots of things going on. So when they sell FH Match to their platform and bundle it for us, they're doing it with their existing membership base. Associations of Canada, we have one of the second largest CPTN. They sell directly to their own certifying members every year, some workshops, webinars, etc. And they're selling directly to them. So now they're saying, here's your business management tool, and here you are as an entrepreneur. Another part that we do that's really important for us to get the message out clear is we have a catch it before they hatch program. That's I phrased it, it's not a good one, but anyhow, on that program, we go to universities, colleges, and associations, and we do presentations on marketing and business management. I have a lot of experience in that area. I have a strong team. So we'll go and do that, and we'll talk about business management, or what's the SEO 101. You know, whatever that the school, whatever they want from us, whatever the college needs from us, we do that presentation. And from there, we try to develop an affiliation with the school. It's a little bit harder to do, but on the school side of it all, it's really good for them that they're bringing experts in, business experts, to talk about marketing. And then with the resource list, how can they best benefit from FH Match? So we have schools that are saying, can you put our full student body now on your platform so they can use it as tasks, assignments, and whatnot, and work together? Well, that's huge. So we have schools now that are using this platform as their education tool. When they graduate, that's when we start paying. So we already got them 2 years into the program, or 3. Initially, we just focused on the graduating class. Well, with this reseller program, in the last 3 months is awesome. Like it's going like wildfire, and we're missing about 3 logos here, and we just got one of the last 2 days, and they're banks, schools. So just a little bit more about the traction. I won't bore you too many details. Everybody's had these heat maps. This is more of a heat map. But we have a really good, decent user side base. I removed some of the data just because of the 4 number today. On our user growth, it's in the thousands of percentiles. I guess when you start from scratch, you can say that. But we're happy with where we are with respect to what we've done and our spend. We're bootstrapping the whole thing. But it could be a lot better. So as these associations and resellers get onboarded, we're talking about exclusive membership base of 250,000 users that are going to be onboarding. It changes rapidly and quickly. So on the competitor landscape, with competitors, our competitors are mostly indirect, but we're a unique platform, end-to-end marketplace, full management and marketing tool. No one's doing that. There's different apps for different things. There's specific apps for maybe multi-groups, but not really a showcasing app where you can go in and engage with a member and see everything about them, their photos, their videos, their certifications, what they're about and what they care about, and then circumvent that person and go directly to their links. We keep that open because that's the value add, and that's a huge differentiator outside of another differentiator catching the cash. So on the SEO part is huge too, the blogging and whatnot. These guys love to throw out their content, but we have to help them put it in the right spot. So we do that. We're great at that. That's our backbone. So we get huge hits. Our social touch points and social media are huge. They're off the charts, and we barely spend any money. We're just really good at placement. Our content's great, and we know how to do. That's from our day job. I will not bore you with any more differentiators. It's all about SEO, it's all about access, it's all about sharing. So,
Oh, that's great, thank you. Okay, we'll jump in while everyone's done.
David, I really like this one. I like the way you presented it, you're engaging. This is a money maker. The deliverables, the spin-offs, they're huge. The potential is huge to be able to spread this thing around to become almost like the Kijiji side of this kind of a world. I would want to check a little bit more into the competitors, what they're doing, how they're doing it, but for every one idea you pitched, I kind of thought about 10 more ways you can make income. And the fact you're not spending a lot on it, that's the kind of, that's where I like to see things. Like you're funding it, you're developing, you're growing slowly, you're growing controlled, you're bringing in things the way it should be done. This has got a lot of huge potential on this one. I can see it's been well thought out, and it's got a lot of real solid possibilities. And once you link in with some other larger groups, I'm sure they want to fund you as well on a promotional side. There's just so many ways that you can draw cash out of this. I'd like to see, off the side, how you're doing financially, and that's not really relevant to this kind of a pitch right now, but I could see it being really, really successful. So I congratulate you. I like the way you presented it. I also like the way you kind of explained it. It was a very simple explanation, very easily understood. No one could make any mistakes in terms of where you're going with it. The slides, so I don't think you need all these heavy slides, basically. I don't think you should worry too much about it. You sell the product well yourself. The slides are just kind of window dressing. Thank you.
So I own a fitness facility franchise out the East End here, and I've worked in internet marketing for many years and worked in fitness, specifically worked with some really big fitness marketers. So I really see a potential, and I get what you're doing, and I think what you're doing is really important, but my questions are the following. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you are doing. Like, I think I know Wally said he got it, but for me, it seemed like you were doing a lot of different things. You're obviously bringing professionals to the consumer, but I want to get a sense of more of how that works. Talk a little bit more about that pricing and put it up there, but just say, this is how, from a user perspective, this is the journey that they take. They're looking for this problem. They go onto online, show us a demo, show us how it looks and feels. Your traction slide is huge. Like, you've got great numbers, you're bootstrapped, like you said. I would like to see, talk a little bit more about that. You know, we launched like 2015. We now have 100,000 users, or 100, we're in 100 countries. We have all these users. So just again, take us down that journey of where you've gone, and also like, how are you different from Zen Planner and MindBody? Because I know that they're an offering. There's findyourtrainer.com. Those guys are matching, you know, people with trainers. So are you bringing those two elements together? That's your differentiator. So just talk a little more specifically about that and more concisely.
I really liked your presentation. I like that you're a very confident person, you presented well, and you had a lot of information on the slides. In terms of product, there's a bit of a question mark on my end. I'm going to pose a little bit. I thought you could have explained to me how this is different from, let's say, Kijiji or Google or Yelp or even in LinkedIn. I mean, you did mention LinkedIn, and it's different, I understand it, specific to healthcare, fitness. But you could have probably talked a bit about that as a person who's wanted to put money in that. That's what I want to hear. And I think secondly, you want to tell me as a person who wants to put money is how you're going to get sort of the non-fitness professionals to go into the website. And that's what really was absent from the presentation, is what will make the general public want to go to your website rather than just Google, East End Toronto fitness. And even if the first search result, or the second search result is your website, what's the value added to an end user? That's really my take on it. So I really like the presentation.
Right, thank you. Okay, awesome. All right, who's got questions? Oh, there's one right there.
Hey, David, very good. And obviously we've talked before, and your platform is very similar to what we do, and I love it, and you presented it very well. The three questions that I typically get from my pitches, which I didn't see, maybe you skip by the slides, but I think really help to sell the concept. One is, what's your conversion rate? So when you're bringing those people from the freemium up into the second level, what's your conversion rate on that? And I think that really helps the investors get their head wrapped around how you're doing that. The other is, what's your lifetime value of your customer, and what's your cost of acquisition? So those are three really key ones that I think from the investor community they love to see. But I think I think it also helps to spell out how are you seeing these people through and getting them into a model that's very effective for you.
Yeah, those are great questions. I wasn't willing to share that information in this forum, but the one I am willing to share is our conversion rate is fantastic. It's over 40%.
Yeah, and I'm not looking for those numbers. I think it's just
40% from touch to premium. So very high.
Yeah, and again, I'm not looking for those numbers because I think the audience is maybe not the right one for it. But if you've got those are perfect for in the investment community. That's exactly what they want to see.
Yeah, we have that.
Okay, any other questions?
Oh, I guess one other. So you started with the thought of mobile, went to web. So obviously you went web first as your implementation. Can you walk through a little bit more about your decision? Was that because you knew you needed to have a platform for the businesses to transact on?
No, I knew mobile would be the wrong platform for this. It's something that would come after. Mobile doesn't make sense, and apps doesn't make sense at this stage. The reason why I did mobile is cheap and easy to prove it out, to see if I really had something before I started spending some real money. So in research and development, we literally spoke to thousands and thousands of people. I was doing it initially on my own. I brought in some people to help me. And then as I started understanding the community a lot better and what their challenges really were, it was easy for me to put an app together. So I took the app route. If the app would have turned into something, obviously I would have kept it around. It didn't serve the community the way it needed to. And it proved that, sometimes you have to build something that you think won't work to justify why you need to go to a platform. A platform's a huge build, lots of time, lots of money, and lots of skill set to do it effectively. And we always like to say as a joke, it's like Facebook and LinkedIn had a healthy open source baby, and it's us, right? So that's what we like to say, but that's why we went that route.
Okay, any last questions? No? All right, awesome. Pretty good.
Okay, so we're at that term where we're just about to close up shop. So I'm gonna do 2 quick draws. I'll just call the names. If you're not here, that's okay. We're gonna email it to you and get engaged with you so that you can get the T-shirt. And don't pick your own card.
I was gonna say, must have a card video.
Dr. Christina Allen. You won.
Now I did ya.
And Douglas Souza. You guys all won a T-shirt. Sick. And thank you everybody for encouragement. Okay, so outside that, I want to thank everybody for coming in tonight. Thank you very much for all your support and helping out with the questions, the comments, the advisors. You guys rock. The Lodge, thank you. Flo, thank you for the water. Harboot, thank you for everything else. Caesar, Tim, Brian, Laura, everybody else that's out there that I haven't thanked, thank you very much for coming out and supporting the event. You'll be able to find everything online at opn.ninja/pitchit-to. All the information is there, the meetup group, the video will be up there, it'll be segmented out per video. And if you do want to pitch, by all means, send an email to info@opn.ninja. And also, just for the support, you guys can hashtag it PitchitTO or at People Network. And take a look and check us out. And Judge, advisors, you guys are rock. We hope to have you back. Thank you very much for all your insights and input. You guys are super helpful. And thank you for helping me figure out what I need to say. That's all rock. Thank you. Have a good night. That worked out.
Jeff, if you get a phone call, you know I'm stuck.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate all your feedback. Thank you.
That was great.
Thank you so much. I wanted to give you my business.
Sure, thank you very much. You're going to do well.
Thank you. If there's a chance for us to reconnect and maybe get some feedback and try to have more a conversation about the feedback you guys had, because I thought it was very important to me. Sure. I'd love to have a chance.
You did very well. Good luck on it.
Yes, yes, yes.
So lucky to meet you. I hope you have a chance to Sorry. Sorry to bother you again. So I came with 5 hours. So, yeah,
I'm happy to talk right here. I'm going to watch my time a little bit because I've got some homework and I've got to run. I kind of got a little bit of idea where you're going before. I think the bottom line
And so you start getting pictures of the fan. Right now it's just searching for faces and everything's all crazy. But yeah, so there's focus on. That's why I was like trying to get a hold of Caesar. And I'm like, how do you tell this thing to stop shooting the fan? I just figured out how to do and unfortunately, and of course, something always goes wrong. So now it's just a mix of really comes out and slightly less than anyway, maybe I can start screaming. Yes.